he's not sleeping. He's directing Supernatural, so it's okay. But you got me. Let's do it! By your local band who call themselves Rush. And let me tell you something, when you sing Geddy Lee, it's quite high. But I do it for you guys because this is Toronto. Man, I missed you. It's been 2 years. It's not okay. It's too long. This is so nice to be back. I literally left a piece of my brain here 6 years ago. So it's always nice to be back. I kind of feel like it's home. So we got a great weekend for you. Richard's not here today, but he will be here first thing tomorrow morning. That's what I'm told. If he can get his work done today, it's really all up to him. Because he talks a lot on set. A lot of yap. So if he can really keep that to a minimum, I can shoot some stuff, then he'll get here. How many people are here for the very first Supernatural convention? Hey, alright. That's a lot of people. I don't know. We can reuse some of the old jokes. Well, that's exciting. And how many people are actually from Canada? Wow, you'd think we were in Canada. We are not from Canada. We're from the United States. I'm sorry, but it's true. We're really excited to be here. Not so hard to get into Canada these days. In Vancouver, it's a bit tough. Like, they're really strict. They're always like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm an actor. I'm like, what does that mean? And you'd think they should do so much stuff in Vancouver, but nope, I don't. They're always like, what do you do? I'm on a show, Supernatural. They're like, never heard of it. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. It's a show. I'm acting on it. It's been shooting for 15 years in their city. But Toronto, they were like, yeah, come on in. I was like, yeah, I'm here. I'm doing a con. They interrupted me. It was like, it's fine. Come on. So that's cool. And it's always fun to be in Toronto. We actually get to be in the city. A lot of times we're like outside the city. Like I always tell people we go to New York City. We were at a con in New York City a couple weeks ago, except we weren't in New York City. We actually stayed in Hoboken, which is in New Jersey, and the con was in New Jersey. But I always say New York City. That's why I go with the headlines back home. But in Toronto, we're in Toronto. We've got the SPN Tower and the whatnot, this other stuff. There's a hockey That's cool. And there's a baseball stadium. And the hockey stadium, that's down to the hockey stadium downtown. That's exciting. Alright guys, I'm gonna introduce you to my band. Are you ready to meet the band? All weekend you're gonna be hearing these guys play for you. Hailing from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Michael Borja on bass. How are you?
I'm trying to hug all men with beards today.
So
do you all a favor?
The glitter? I just went to the VIP meet and greet right after you, and you're all over me now. I have on my bum, and it keeps appearing in my hands, and I like it.
Perfect, yeah.
Just,
I try. It's like a little aggressive. I just try. Glitter everywhere.
It's like a glitter bomb.
Yeah.
But you look good.
Yeah. Thank you. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. Toronto, Rachel Miner.
How are you doing today? It's great to see you all. Oh my God. How lucky am I? Like, I get to show up and be greeted by so many people I love and who love me. I like, this is an amazing life. And I hope you all feel that too. Like, it's a really incredible, like, it's an incredible thing that we created. Yeah. I think it's like super important. I try really hard in life not to just like plow through, to actually take a moment sometimes and go, oh my gosh, this is a cool moment. Like, let's appreciate that. There's a lot of love in this room for, you know, this supernatural family is incredible. Yeah. We might have started our final season, but this group is not in its final season ever. Are we doing questions today? Well, I mean, because you know me, I will just keep talking at you. I will find things to geek out about. This will happen. But does anyone want to ask questions? Where did I get the glitter? It's actually really cool. So one of my first unicorn ops, someone gave me, it's like this glitter snot gel stuff. And I kind of like it. Like I don't know, I grew up liking glitter. Like, did anyone else do Gish this year? Awesome. So yeah, so I did the challenge where I got glittered, and my bathroom grout still has glitter in it, and I'm okay with that. Like, my bathroom sparkles a little more than everyone else's. So yeah. Hey, thank you. You got my back.
I came up with a question and I figured you could talk a lot about.
Yeah.
So I'll go sit down so you can
Nice.
do. But
Please, thank
since
you.
you're a Harry Potter fan,
Yes.
which houses do you think Sam and Dean were in, and which ones do you think Jensen and Jared would be in?
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. Okay. This is really interesting. So, I think Sam and Dean would both be Gryffindor, right? Like, does anyone? I mean, Sam has a little Ravenclaw. He's definitely like has that possibility, but it seems like the amount they like risk their lives and do the brave thing, they would both be Gryffindor. That's what I think. So I'm Gryffindor, and I test like 100% of the time as Gryffindor. But I really think it's because I've got that stupid brave streak. Like, there's a lot of other qualities I have, but I also have the like, I will get this, I will save you all, rush into danger with no plan whatsoever. And I think both Dean and Sam have that. So that's my theory on that one. Now, Jensen and Jared. This is really interesting, because I like inherently, like I put them both in that, because they both got like the most incredible hearts. So, and they're both protective and kind of brave and all that. So I kind of lean toward Gryffindor for both of them too. I might be Gryffindor biased. We might have learned this about me. Yeah, it feels like a really boring answer. What does everyone do you want to shout out some houses? So Jared, who does everyone think Jared? I hear some Hufflepuffs and some Slytherins. This is interesting. He thinks he's Slytherin? That's amazing. That's a really, I would never put him in Slytherin, but he's very smart. He's very, I think a lot of people underestimate how smart he is. Because he's good at playing dumb. But, no, because he will. He'll do that kind of, I think, to suss things out. But he plays that part. But he's really, and I think because he's, tall and good looking, people think he's not as smart as he is. I get away with that stuff, too, sometimes. Like being small and blonde. It's amazing how much people are like, oh, how cute! Anyway, that's fascinating that he thinks he's Slytherin. Anyway, okay, now we've got more. Now that are there Harry Potter fans out here? So I wasn't putting you all to sleep. And, yeah.
Hi. We met you actually last year in Montreal.
Yes.
So it's nice to see you again.
It's good to see
look
you.
Beautiful. My daughter and I are here, but she's too shy to come up and ask a question. She's here with her girlfriend. That's Cass and Julianne right there.
Hi.
We just had a photo op with you.
And I think you took the smart option, get someone else to do the walking and talking for you.
I did.
That was smart, yeah. But I hope you're having fun. Anyway.
Yes, especially Cass. She's very, very shy. But her question for you is, if you had the opportunity to go into the past or go into the future yourself, what message would you take with you?
Wait, if I had to go into
Either you could choose to go in the past
or go into the future, and I would, which option would I take?
What message would you take?
Oh, what message?
Yes.
This is the kind of thing I think about. I don't know. I've always been strange. This is the kind of thing that would keep me up at night. When I was a child, I would think I have to come up with these answers. I think very much of the message that I give is what I want to give to both the past and the future. There's, I'm really gonna sound like a hippie. I do think at the end of the day, you can call it different things, but what I'm talking about is love is probably the most important thing. And it's one of the things I loved about playing Meg is whatever the kind of minutia of the moment and the microcosm that seems so important is really not that important in the grand scheme of things. And I think being able to step back and take that perspective is really important. And it's the moments of connection that we can forget. So we can go about our days and be thinking of goals for our future or thinking of things that happened in our past and forget to take the moment to acknowledge the person in front of us. And I think that is the most important thing, is to appreciate, and you don't have to call it love, whatever it is, connecting to each other. And kindness, you can name it, but kindness sometimes gets a label like it's sweet or small, and it's not. What I'm talking about is something very deep, which is actually connecting to each other and saying, hey, I see you, and I think you're wonderful, and we're in this together. And I think that is the most important thing for all of us.
Well, you are a sweet, sweet person, and we love you, but you were a kick-ass demon, and we love you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, if there's one thing I can leave the world with, I want to say being sweet is kick-ass. It takes work. We got this.
Hi, Rachel.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you? Okay, so my question for you is, who or what inspired you to become an actress?
That's a really good question. I have actually a very easy answer. Well, okay, I started wanting to act when I was 2 years old, was when I started my full-on campaign. I did my first extra work and stuff when I was a few months old. It was something that I was aware of. My grandparents and my father and everything were all in various aspects of the business. I grew up with a father who was a director, so it wasn't like so absurd and out of left field. It was like, no, that made sense. But I also had a very vivid imagination, and I thought one of the real factors in me deciding I wanted to act was I fell in love with an old BBC production of Alice in Wonderland, and I really thought that I could get to Wonderland if I was acting. Somehow that was the route in. I was fascinated by people, and so I would pretend to be anything that I saw. I think that there was a phase my parents called me Helen Killer because I'd seen The Miracle Worker, and I walked around constantly trying to keep my eyes closed and pretend I couldn't hear. And I would knock everything over and grab at people and it was not apparently fun for my parents to experience, but I was really fascinated with becoming other people. But the main thing was acting seemed like the only route to get to magical realms. And I was pretty certain that I would get there. I just became an actress. So yeah, so it was Alice in Wonderland was the main factor.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Rachel.
Hello.
First off, I want to say that I absolutely love you, and you're amazing, and you're a huge inspiration to me and many, many others, I'm sure.
Thank you. And genuinely, there is so much love the other way, just so you know. I love you, and thank you for saying that, and it means the world, so.
Awesome, good to hear. So my question is, we all love you as Meg, obviously, and we all love you as a demon, but if you could pick any other character or any other monster from Supernatural, which would you choose and why?
Wow. That's really intense. No, that's these are the big decisions in life. What if we have to what if someone's listening and this becomes reality? I honestly, it's very hard for me because I love all the actors who play these characters and I love the way they did it. So it's not like I can think of a character without associating. If I was going to be Rowena, I would want to be Ruth being Rowena. If I was going to be Cass, I would want to be Misha being Cash. Does that make sense? Like,
Yes,
yeah.
I get you.
So, I mean, I think it'd be a lot of fun to play with the idea of being these different people, but yeah, I want the supernatural world to be exactly as it is. So I'm content. I think Meg was awesome. I'm a fangirl.
Meg was my favorite, so yeah.
So yeah, so I'm okay with that, and I love the fact that, like, even though Meg was a demon or cast as an angel or whatever, there's no black and white, good or bad. You are a certain species, and therefore you are one way or the other. It doesn't so much affect your personality. What affects your personality is the decisions you make, what you do, the actions you take. And that's why I love this show. So I feel like Meg, like I got to be a demon, but kind of at the end I was a good demon and more angelic than some angels.
So this is true.
I'm going with that.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Rachel.
Hey.
I was wondering, when you got the part of Meg, did they give you a lot of notes on how they wanted you to play her, or did you just
No,
evolve
it's
yourself?
one of the very cool things about the show is I think they cast people who they're like, no, that's the right take, and then they trust you. But it also it's a testament to, like, one of the things with all of us who've been on the show, most of us like we weren't like coached into those decisions. There's not a big rehearsal process. We don't do like read-throughs and all that stuff. So yeah, I basically just did what I did in the audition and went with that. And I hadn't even studied Nikki's work, but I think they cast me because we had a kind of similar take. And just kind of made sense to me, and I went with that. So,
Worked out great.
thank you. I also think the writing is really good. So to me, the way that I played Meg was just what the writing asked for. So, again, that's a variable that's interesting because any one of us can look at something and interpret it differently, but I think the writing lended itself to Meg being exactly how she was. So.
Hi, Rachel.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, it's good to see you.
Good. If you could pick one song for the rest of your life, which one would you listen to?
What?
Yes. I have mine.
You have yours? What's yours?
It's called Cafe de Athens by Foles.
That's awesome. I would never, I do not want to marry myself to any one song. I can't commit.
That's okay.
No, because I have eclectic taste. I don't know, the way that I cycle through songs is like I will be in love with a certain song and it's all I can listen to for like a period of time. By the way, I'm hearing myself and I'm wondering if this applies to like relationships and stuff too. No, but I'm like obsessive about whatever song I'm in love with at the time, but I might not be feeling that in like 2 months.
What song is it right now?
I don't.
That's okay.
I feel like these things are so personal. It's very strange. Why am I getting so weird about it? I don't know.
It's totally okay.
But I love music. I think it does, for me, it really does inform who I'm being on the deepest level at that time, and I'm so grateful for great music. That's what I like to think is like I just like good music, whatever's moving me at that moment.
For sure.
But yeah.
For sure. Thank you.
No, it's a great question. I'm sorry I like sneaked away from answering.
That's okay.
Thanks.
My question was, do you have a hidden or secret talent that nobody knows about?
Do I have a hidden talent that I'm very not talented? I'm double jointed. So, I was bending my thumb backwards, so I can do that.
That works.
Thank you. I feel like I'm I should like win awards for my hidden talent. Yeah, no, I don't know. There's a lot of things, a lot of passions I have, but I don't know if they're particularly am talented at anything. I was always one of those people who enthusiastically did a lot of things. I don't know that I do any of them very well. What about you? Do you have a hidden talent?
I do like contortion stuff and all that.
Nice. So we have a similarity there.
Yeah, that's
Well, shoot, we're taking on the road. It's awesome. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care.
Hi, Rachel. I was just wondering about how you've been doing with your MS diagnosis and how you're faring. I have MS too, and I've fallen twice in the past 2 days, so just seeing how you're doing.
Thank you for that, and I'm sorry you're going through it too. It's not something that I recommend to people for fun.
Yeah.
No, it's an interesting one. I think that what I have done is gotten better and better emotionally and psychologically at handling it. I think one of the difficulties is, like when I first got diagnosed, I was always trying to control or like manage the symptoms, and then I always felt like this weird like guilt and anger if I couldn't control something or if it didn't go right, and then I always was trying to figure out like why it didn't go right. And I've gotten just a lot cooler about I'll make the most of whatever I have to deal with today. And it's ridiculous and silly and hard. I think one of the things, so with falls and stuff, I fall pretty regularly. I often have bruises and things like that. I get really good at calculating.
Oh yeah.
I got a nice acknowledgement. I was tested at one point, and it was pretty funny because they tested me in a lot of ways, and one of the things that I was told was they test your fear of falling versus your likelihood of falling, and they'd never seen someone who is so unafraid and so likely to fall. So I'm kind of proud of that. I'm like very optimistically in trouble. But part of that is also I danced for years and stuff like that, so I've gotten pretty good. The problem is I don't calculate my orientation space well. Like I get incorrect signaling from the environment. So that makes it very difficult, but I constantly like recalibrate based on the things that I am receiving. And generally I think I avoid falling a lot throughout every day. So I try to acknowledge that. But when I do fall, I've gotten better at acknowledging that it can be really traumatic and scary. So in that moment, especially if no one is around, I allow myself more now to cry or say things like, I'm scared or whatever, and just to verbalize it and get that out. So because I think a hidden thing with, and again, I don't think this only applies to MS, I think a lot of us go through these things. One of the things to watch out for is kind of a PTSD type situation where you get more and more afraid of just going out and existing, going about your day because you've experienced trauma. So the more that like I worry about when I fall, when things happen, when they go awry, when I end up in the hospital or something like that, that I'm tentative about going back out in existence. I don't ever want that. I want to keep, scaling abnormally toward the like way optimistic, because I think it's a good way to be. But part of that has to do with acknowledging at the time, like venting the trauma.
Yeah.
Does that help at all?
I just wanted to say, very similar. You have to have a positive attitude, and honestly, you and I would survive a zombie apocalypse.
Yes. Yes, I think so.
Hi. I'm just wondering, since it's the final season, we know a lot of old characters are coming back. Is there any chance that we'd see Meg again in season 15?
I think that would be cool. I would love to, revisit with Meg, but I'm excited for this season regardless, whatever they do. I always think that's important because it's like I don't ever want to seem like it's not fair. They're not bringing me back. They've got so much story to weave in. There's going to be so many things. No matter what they do, there's going to be things that all of us miss and wish they got in as well. And no matter what they do, I hope we'll all be happy as well. But yeah, it would be really freaking cool for Meg to come back. And one thing I will say is that I've said very clearly that if they brought Meg back, I would want to be in a wheelchair. Like I think representation is really important. I think Meg is a strong, awesome character. So we can justify anything in the supernatural universe. We'll figure that one out. Yeah.
Hi. Hey. I was just wondering, out of Supernatural, what is your favorite line that any character has said?
Any character? Yeah. Holy moly, I cannot do that. You all are giving me like such hard questions. I can say, so my favorite line is Meg. I got so many great lines and I loved her like snarkiness and stuff, but my favorite line was "Go save your brother, my unicorn." Like, I can't, I'm a sap at heart. Like, I can't help it. So yeah, that stands out. What's your favorite line from the whole show ever?
I understand why it's hard to pick. Probably pudding.
It's a good choice. Good choice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great. Amazing. You're just amazing. So my question was sort of somewhat asked, because I'm looking forward to like a Meg and Castiel reunion, because the Pizza Man kiss was just...
It was good, wasn't it?
Oh, it was like, honestly, I think that would just be a perfect couple. Meg and Cass need to be reunited. But
I really love them together. So like at least the thing is, so I'm very adamant that like especially when it comes to shipping and all these things, my imagination does not affect yours, nor does yours. Like we are all allowed that, and I think that's super important. So I can indulge in loving Cass and Meg together and have my own internal thing. And that does not need to apply to any of you. Like, I'm happy with it, whatever versions you want. But yeah, I love those characters together.
On a side note, with regards to your MS, my best friend's mom's got it. She's been dealing with it for 60 years and she's doing awesome.
Nice.
So it all has to do on your positive attitude. But how exactly...
I have to say something though, because it's important for any of us out, like for any people out there. Positive attitude is really important. And I will say like relaxation and finding your joy is totally the route to the best existence, whatever you're going through. But I also do not feel guilty like it is because you don't have a positive enough attitude if you're getting sicker or you're having more trouble. And I think that that's a really important differentiation. Is that like, especially with MS, every case is different and there's so many factors to that. It doesn't mean that you have a bad attitude. And I think that that is inherent. Like some of us carry around this guilt of like, if we're not doing well, that's somehow our fault. It's not your fault. So yeah, that's all.
Question.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
With regards to Random Acts, which is just totally amazing, how did you actually start to get involved? Was it Misha who contacted? Did you have a background in some sort of business or whatnot, charity background?
Well, first of all, it is the best, and you all are the best, and I could not love this group more. So, but yes, so I am a philanthropy charity nerd. I've always wanted to, like, from when I was really little, my wish was always to create the best effects in the world I could. And I somehow thought if I like got well known enough or made enough money, maybe I could do more. And then more and more I realized, you know what, like cut out all of that, like, you know, having to do before. Let's just do good. And there was a point when I was a teenager, I wanted to join the Peace Corps. And I've looked at different ways that I could like do the maximum good in the world. But I've also like studied so many different philanthropic efforts and just basically with an eye to how can we create the best effects in the world possible. So it's a passion point for me. I don't have degrees in these things. It's a really tricky thing is I study on my own a lot. So I never went and got the degree. So if it wasn't for Misha and his incredible kindness and insight and just being an amazing human being and also being willing to break the rules, I wouldn't have the job I have. It's an incredible thing, gift and opportunity to be given. But yes, it is something that I have studied a great deal, and that has always been a passion for me.
You're doing amazing. I'm sorry. You're doing amazing.
My goodness, thank you so much. Thank you.
Hi.
Hey.
This is my first convention, so I'm really nervous.
Oh, well, welcome though. It's an amazingly kind group of people. Like, I hope it's a wonderful experience, but my guess is it will be because this group, you all are going to embrace and give the best experience possible to anyone who's new, and I know that. So, yeah, welcome. Just welcome. You're in good hands.
I wanted to ask you, with how the show has went over the last 14 seasons and now going to be the 15th, how would you change the storyline so it would end differently?
Oh my goodness. I would not.
You like the ending?
What was that?
You like the ending?
Well, I don't know the ending. Do you know? I don't know where it's going to end, so I'm hoping. I don't think I'll be upset about that. But I think they've done a beautiful job with everything, every direction the show has taken. And I love the questions that they're asking all the time. I love the philosophical, really profound questions that they're asking, even with the start of this season. What is good and what is evil and what does power mean and how can it be corrupt? I mean, there's so many incredible questions there. So, do you have something, like, are you, like, deeply upset about something?
I don't know the ending, so I can't really speak for that, but I know some people would like to change some stuff that's happened, like having characters killed off. R.I.P. Charlie.
I understand it, but also, so when I was little, my mom used to do this thing with me where I would get, like, sometimes very emotionally involved with characters in films and things, and I would feel so, like, I'd be deeply upset if something, like, an injustice happened to a character or something like that, and she would just let me rewrite them in my imagination. And it was actually very helpful. And I think that we should all have that power of, like, this. Yes, the creators of this show, they went a certain direction. But if you don't like it, you have the ability to imagine other possibilities as well. That's a wonderful thing about art and creativity. It's like you have that creative power as well.
Thank you.
Hey.
My name is Zoe. I'm from South Africa.
Welcome.
And this is my first convention as well.
Oh my goodness, welcome, and thank you for coming all this way. That's so great.
My question is if you would see an ending for Castiel, or hopefully an ending for Castiel, what do you think or hope would happen to his character, to Misha's character?
Oh my goodness. Again, like I'm very open to and excited to see whatever reveals. I think there's something funny about because of playing Meg and her feelings for Cass. There's something like inherently like deeply, like there's a protective feeling and a wish for him to be like deeply fulfilled and happy and safe. But I feel like part of that is Meg as well. Like there's just something, it's like, I now want to protect you always and forever. So I have a feeling I won't necessarily have that fulfilled, but I think that ultimately that character, what makes Cass who he is that he will be happiest if he created some kind of good in the world. And accomplish that, and that something, like there are better outcomes because he existed. And to me, that is probably what would ultimately fulfill Cass, and therefore what I want to see for him.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Thank you.
Hey,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm good, question mark?
Oh my goodness! I want to do a deep dive into this.
So my question, slightly controversial, but I hope we can all stay civil here.
Yeah.
DC or Marvel?
Ooh, that's a good one. So yeah, I might offend some people. I like Marvel.
Good choice.
I have been for years. Like it tends to be where my affinity lies, and I think they've done such a good job with that universe in recent years. So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't make me hate DC. Like I think they do some great things, and but Marvel is where I'm at. Yeah.
Good choice.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Hey.
I just wanted to ask, if Meg were to come back, what would you want to be her opening line?
Wait, if Meg came back, what would be her opening line?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I have no idea. But I do feel like she should address the fact that no one noticed she was gone. There was a time, I don't know, a year or two ago, that Misha tweeted out something like, "Can an angel blade kill a demon?" And I was like, yeah, thanks for caring. I like, he's fun to troll sometimes. But I do feel like there's a little bit of an issue, which is like there was never a scene where like Cass was told that Meg is gone and sacrificed herself for him. Like, it might have happened behind the scenes, but yeah, so I feel like the first line should maybe be something addressing that, like, hey, do you miss me? Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Hi. Hey, how are you doing?
I'm alright. So I've been wrestling for what question I wanted to ask, but since I'm a huge fan of The Walking Dead too, I gotta know, what would your weapon of choice be in a zombie apocalypse?
You're gonna hate me. I've never seen The Walking Dead. I don't know what is wrong with me. I'm such a nerd about everything, and I feel like I'm like deep into every fandom, and somehow have not jumped on board. I have a little bit of an arbitrary thing, which is when something's really popular, I tend to avoid it, because I'm like, yeah, like that belongs to other people. So I need to at some point like really like fall into that world. But then your question was about the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah,
though,
what
right?
weapon of choice would you do?
What
weapon would you use?
What kills zombies quickest? I don't know. Yeah, I feel like like just give me something here. What in I guess it depends in like whatever universe the zombie, but like whatever is the quickest thing to eradicate zombies. Like, do they go fastest with flamethrowers, or like what's the?
I mean, my brother's choice was a flamethrower, so.
Yeah, I mean, flamethrower seems practical.
I would do a machete.
But maybe zombies only die when you cut their head off, in which case an axe. Like, I'm pretty practical about this thing. I just want them dead.
Right. All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I've been admiring your tattoo, and I was just wondering if you could tell us what it is. It looks like a double thistle, but...
So the one on my shoulder is a lotus. So it's a lotus flower. So there's like, you know, in Buddhist symbolism, the idea that the lotus comes from the mud, and I love the fact, like, to me, there's something about being connected and grounded and also connected to others. I've always felt like I've never understood the like drive to succeed or transcend without others, because I've always felt like it's not real success unless we all come together. I also think that out of our trauma and our pain and our shared experience or whatever, that's how we transcend to better things and joy. So the lotus means a lot to me. And then it's also done in watercolor, and that's because I don't like drawing inside the lines. So yeah, I like the idea of it being kind of all over. And I've got an arrow here. I've got a feather quill here to remind me to write. The arrow is to be straightforward and tell the truth, always, no matter how hard it is. And then I've got a fairy that I got when I was 16 on my back to remind me to keep joy and lightness and free spirit. I've got a phoenix on my ankle. That was kind of a rebirth moment. I actually had an ex's name tattooed. And I put the phoenix on top of it. So, whatever. I told you I fall totally in love. This is how I do. So yeah. And I've got the last one is on my neck. I've got a symbol for Tara, which is a bodhisattva in Buddhism. I've specifically got the Tibetan symbol for Tara, and you can look up that. It's a deity of, or bodhisattva of compassion.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry for the detailed answer.
Hi. So how has Supernatural inspired you personally or impacted you?
In every single freaking way. So I feel like I exist and am who I am because of this show, this community, this family. Especially after getting sick, I had kind of pulled away from and opted out and was hiding a lot in life. And it's because of all of you that I came back out, and I literally, it was kind of a coming out moment. I started talking about my illness, and I found that through that, maybe I could help others, and because of that, it gave me a purpose in life. Misha gave me a purpose in giving me the position at Random X. There's nothing, all my closest friends, the best relationships, everything have to do with this family, and so I feel eternally lucky and grateful, and I couldn't imagine my life without the influence of Supernatural.
Thank you.
Hello. Sorry, I'm really nervous.
What was that? Did you say you're sorry?
Yes, I'm really nervous.
Oh, well, first of all, that's cool. I think it's really amazing that we can care about things so deeply that we can feel that. So,
I'm
yeah.
Canadian, so. So my question is, you kind of just answered it, but where do you think you would be in maybe your acting career or just your life without being on Supernatural?
Yeah, I mean, everything that I'm saying. I've also, like, I decided to not to act anymore after getting sick. Because I didn't know, I liked playing like strong female characters and I didn't think of myself as strong. So it's really in dialogue with all of you that I started feeling differently and finding that there's a strength to just being comfortable being myself. And that we all need that and we need to be that for each other. So.
How did it go, Rach?
It's going good. Surprise, surprise, I was like talking about serious things.
I know. It's always, when we walk on stage, I always feel like it depends on what the question is.
As opposed to my usual light banter, I don't know.
That's okay to talk about serious stuff. Well, we love you. Happy to see you, and you're going to be here for a couple of days, right?
No, I actually, okay, so I wish me luck. I officiate my niece's wedding on Sunday.
Oh my God.
So I'm flying out here to do that.
That's amazing. When we fly out there tomorrow? Okay. All right. Well, but you'll be here today. You're doing some more pictures and autographs and stuff? Okay. Rachel Miner, everybody! Thank you, everybody. Wow, all those people who were running to the exits were not going to leave until you did that weird ending.